What's up everyone, and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Conor McGregor getting back to sparring. The Notorious One is on the road to recovery, and the latest example of which were posted on social media by Conor McGregor himself. In a recent post on Instagram, the Irishman shared photos of his recent sparring session with a caption that read, "My first spar." We haven't seen McGregor since last July, when he first suffered his nasty leg injury at UFC 264 during his trilogy fight against Dustin Poirier. While he lost that fight via TKO, since he couldn't continue, he's been active on social media and in interviews, calling for a welterweight title shot upon his return. McGregor is not 100% scheduled for a fight yet, but UFC President Dana White stated he would expect McGregor to be ready for a fight in early autumn. It's unclear who exactly he would be fighting when he does return to the octagon, but there's no shortage of athletes lining up for the honor to make the big bucks in a main event fighting opposite the Irishman. Who do you think would be a great opponent for McGregor upon his return to the cage? Belal Muhammad says Colby Covington is avoiding top-ranked welterweights. Welterweight contender Belal Muhammad did not hold back on his comments regarding Colby Covington and simply laid it out for the world to see and hear. Muhammad, the number 6 ranked welterweight, is just days away from a very tough fight against number 5 ranked welterweight Vicente Luque in this Saturday's UFC Vegas 51 main event. The Chicago native is unbeaten in 7 straight fights, including 6 wins and 1 no contest, with victories over the likes of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Damian Maia, and Diego Lima. Meanwhile, Luque is riding a 4-fight winning streak, all finishes, including victories over Michael Chiesa and Nico Price. The welterweight title shot picture is slowly clearing up as champion Kamaru Usman still recovers from his hand injury, and he's set to take on Leon Edwards when he does heal up sometime later this year. Usman has been a terror since entering the UFC and has proven that even more as a champion, successfully defending his title 5 times, including 2 wins over Colby Covington. Belal believes Colby is doing everything he can to get back to a welterweight title fight and has been picking and choosing his fights carefully. Belal mentions that out of Colby's last few fights, not including Usman, he's beaten Tyron Woodley, who came off 2 losses, Jorge Masvidal, who had come off 2 losses, and is now challenging and calling out Dustin Poirier, a man who fights in a smaller weight class. In fact, the same is true of when Colby fought Robbie Lawler just before his Woodley fight, as Lawler was off of 2 losses as well. Hence, this is why Belal went on to state this during his media day press conference ahead of UFC Vegas 51.
I think that it's gonna get to him, but he's one of those guys that thinks that he's owed something, thinks that he's a pay-per-view star, and thinks that, I'm on the level of a Nate Diaz and a McGregor where I can pick and choose who I want. And I think that he's gonna be one of those that sits out for a year or something like that, keep playing the injury game. Now that his tooth is chipped, he's probably gonna be out for a couple years until they give him a real 55er to fight.
What do you make of Belal's comments here? Jake Paul says no to training with Conor McGregor's MMA coach, John Kavanaugh. YouTuber turned boxer, Jake Paul, has some really harsh remarks, not just for Conor McGregor, but John Kavanaugh as well. Kavanaugh is McGregor's longtime MMA coach, who led the Irishman to 4 world MMA titles, helping him become champ in both Cage Warriors and then later the UFC. Kavanaugh has also coached Peter Queally and UAE middleweight champion Will Fleury, along with Ultimate Fighter winner Brad Katona. The Straight Blast Gym founder and owner recently answered a question from a UK publication asking if he'd ever be open to training Jake Paul, and Kavanaugh said of course he would, as long as he pays the fees and signs up, saying Jake has great energy. But the 5-0 boxer is scoffing at Kavanaugh's comments and claims he only wants to train with winners. This is what Jake Paul stated in a recent interview with The Mirror. "I don't train with losers, so as nice and respectful as that is, Coach Kavanaugh, you can suck my nuts. And Conor McGregor, you can suck my butthole because I don't train with losers like that. This guy hasn't won a fight, so why would I want his bum-ass coach teaching me?" Jake Paul has been teasing the world that he wants to fight MMA, with the likes of Bellator's Scott Coker entertaining the idea, whenever the young boxer wants to actually make the transition to the cage. But with these recent comments, Jake Paul is referencing Conor's recent struggles in the cage that date back to 2018, as the Irishman has lost 3 of his last 4 bouts. What do you think of Jake Paul blasting Kavanaugh like that? Don't forget to take a second to hit that like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to stay up to date on the latest fight news. Gilbert Burns doubles down on calls for a 5-round rematch. Gilbert Burns believes that he will eventually meet Khamzat Chimaev again in the octagon, and that next time, it will be a 5-round clash. The two fighters delivered the best fight of the UFC 273 card last Saturday, providing fans with a 3-round war in which both athletes left it all in the cage. While Burns walked away with an L following those tough 15 minutes against the much-hyped Chechen Swede, he still received a few bonuses from the UFC for the incredible fight. In the days that followed, Burns tweeted out that he would love to fight Khamzat in a 5-round fight, to which Khamzat said he would win again. Now, in an interview with MMA Fighting's Damon Martin, Burns is revealing that he originally asked for this fight to be a 5-rounder, given that he was the number 2 ranked guy, giving the fighter who is barely ranked in the top 10 the courtesy to fight, but the UFC did not make it happen. He went on to say this.
The way I see right now, we're not done. Me and Khamzat, we have to see each other again, And I give him a courtesy. I'm waiting for the courtesy back. I know he moved forward. I know the UFC wants to make that Colby fight, but we're not done. I want to fight Khamzat again.
Burns also told Damon Martin that he wasn't angry about losing the decision against Khamzat, but he did believe the fight was a lot closer than the judgment made it out to be, as Chimaev did take home a unanimous decision win over Gilbert Burns. The Brazilian felt that he had hit Khamzat with much harder shots than vice versa. Still, he feels that this is only the first of a series of meetings he's gonna have with Khamzat in the octagon. What do you think about Burns saying he wants a 5-round rematch against Chimaev? And do you want to see that fight? And who do you think would win a rematch? Multiple reports say that a bantamweight bout is going to take place on June 18th with Cody Stamann taking on Eddie Wineland. Both men will be looking to right their own ship after recent rough patches. Stamann is coming off 3 straight losses to Wineland's 2. Wineland last fought in February of last year, losing via TKO in the first round to John Castaneda. Meanwhile, Stamann's most recent loss took place this past January as he tapped out to Said Nurmagomedov's guillotine choke in the first round. At the same time, the UFC is also setting up a lightweight bout between Thiago Moises and Christos Giagos for their June 25th show. Moises will be going into this bout on a 2-fight losing streak, including a TKO loss to Joel Alvarez this past November. Giagos is also coming off a loss, having dropped his last bout against Arman Tsarukyan by a TKO in the first round last September. Let us know in the comments who are your early favorites for these 2 fights. Bobby Green is not happy about Jorge Masvidal's attack on Colby Covington. The physical altercation that took place outside of a Miami Beach restaurant last month got the whole MMA world talking, and it could actually land Jorge Masvidal in jail for a significant amount of time if he's convicted over the charges stemming from the incident. Masvidal was reportedly seen ambushing Colby Covington, his former best friend turned enemy, outside of a Miami Beach steakhouse just over a week after the UFC 272 main event clash. During the incident, witnesses say they heard Masvidal saying, "You shouldn't have been talking about my kids," and allegedly fractured Colby's tooth in the process, along with damaging his Rolex watch, according to a police report. Charges were filed, with Gamebred now facing a felony aggravated assault charge along with criminal mischief. And if he's found guilty by a Florida court, he could face up to 15 years in prison. What's crazy is this only happened just after the two faced off for 25 minutes in the cage. Bobby Green, a UFC lightweight who recently lost to Islam Makhachev, he just appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast this week, and he gave his take on the whole incident. This is what Bobby Green had to say. "I don't think Jorge should have done that. I don't agree with it at all. You had 25 minutes, brother. You had 25 minutes to do anything you need to do. You had your time." Do you agree with Bobby Green here? Today's video was packed with some juicy stories from the fight world. What are your thoughts about what's going on in MMA? Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the MMA Zone to see more videos just like this. See you next time.